Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today our guest is our OG Bitlord. He needs no introduction, really. Welcome, Bitlord. Good to have you in Point Blank, my man.
G'day, Panama. It's good to be here, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Sweet. Let's kick it off. So what have you been up to lately, man? In and out of crypto?
For the past sort of couple months, I've really had a lot of time off. So I've done a lot of fishing, camping, diving, and just tried to get away from being online and just spending as much time as I can just, immersed in nature. And that's what it's been about. So I did a bit of a trip with the family just across like the Australian coast. And then after that, I went away to a very special spot. I'm not going to say where it is, but it's probably one of the best fishing, diving spots in the world. And I just cribbed up there for like 3 weeks, mate. And I rarely even touch my phone for anything. So it was just like every day fishing, diving, we're getting up early, we're staying out on the water all day long. And then getting into night fishing, shark fishing, doing a lot of diving, a lot of spear fishing, chasing tuna, wahoo, that sort of thing. And now I'm just getting back into crypto, mate. And it's been like a long time. I've been sort of like compiling, different elements to, a bunch of projects. And now is the right time to sort of fold everything into one and kickstart it. So I'm, back in the crypto life, mate. On the screens, on the charts, just getting connected and making it happen.
You've seen the latest rogue polls. What do you make of them?
Which one, mate? They're everywhere. I mean,
the one with Andres rogue polls. The EMN one.
EMN or EMT or whatever the fuck that is.
is.
Yeah, that's gold, man. I mean, that's classic. I mean, have a listen to these people. I mean, this guy, I don't even remember his name. I mean, there's so many devs that come and go.
Andre Conje or something like that.
Yes, that's it. Okay, so this guy, I don't know too much about him. All I know is that I quickly, I look at the tweet, I look what's going on. I see this guy's a dev. I jump on his Twitter account, I have a look. It says, I test in production. Yeah, cool. That's fucking hilarious. Whatever. Anyway, this guy has been releasing projects. He's been up to things, and everybody. I think he did. Was it Wi-Fi? Did really well, and then everybody's basically looking for the next thing. So he's got like a little follower, a bunch of guys that are looking for whatever he does next to go ahead and throw some cash on it. And that's a really smart strategy. It's, I pretty much played that with, the Vitalik and Co, like, Charles Hoskin, and then Gavin Wood, that sort of thing. Anything they were putting their name to, it's just getting onto it. And then bam, it's a printing machine. The problem is this guy knows that. He knows he's got a lot of people that are following his every move, that have money, that are just waiting for something to happen. So he goes ahead and releases this EMT or EMS. I don't fucking know. He releases it. Didn't have too much care for it. He said, whatever. He did a few, tweets to sort of throw some attention on the project, which, look, it's not a crime, but you are hyping it. You are putting attention on it. You do know that there's people throwing stacks at whatever the hell you touch. So he just threw it out there and then went to sleep. They basically finished doing the contract the night before. So they just slopped this thing together and then thought it was a great idea to pretty much release it the day or the next day. Major noob mistake. It's a complete shambles. You can never do that. It hasn't been audited. It hasn't been looked over. Nothing's been touched. So releases it. It's instantly getting traded. And then within, a couple hours of getting launched, I don't know the exact timestamp. Fuck, it doesn't matter. People have put a lot of money in this. There's a bit of trade volume going on. Somebody just exploits it. So I think they used a couple $1,000, 15, 20, and just printed like $500,000 of the tokens and then just pulled the rug instantly. So a lot of people lost money. You can see it on Twitter. Everybody's, aping into it hard. And then they're standing around, they're saying, oh, fuck, what the hell happened? So what happened? This guy, then he goes ahead and says, oh, look, it was a very obvious bargain. It's a very simple thing. And I'm just thinking, if it's obvious, if there's all these things, why the fuck are you releasing this project? Why are you doing that? you know, and for me, I'm just like, look, this can be avoided. I mean, if you've got someone that's got a bit of skill, got a bit of, you know, this developer can put a bit more time in there, take a bit more care, do things as a professional, and execute them well. And I think in this instance, this could be entirely avoided. But end of the day, I mean, it's not that much money. It's like, fuck, whatever. And as you know, when you throw in stacks on something, ultimately you are responsible. But it's, you know, there's always something for us to complain about. And that's it today.
I just think it's just a sloppy job, man. Even
Yeah.
for people that gamble in it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, like I'm sure that we can sit back, take some more time, overlook everything, make sure everything's good. I mean, if we're going to put all this effort into, you know, making sure everything else is right, something as critical as actually putting the contract up. I mean, that's massive, but whatever. I mean, I don't really give too much shit. So I didn't buy it. I just feel that if you are going to be, you know, the custodian of a project, if you're going to put your name by it, you really want to make, and if you're going to launch it, you want to make sure it's done right and it's done well, because this is a community that you're looking after. And ultimately a lot of that responsibility does sort of come onto you, whether you like it or not.
So, Bitlord, have you managed to yield farm anything in the past few weeks?
No, I'm staying away from that, mate. I'll be honest. There's plenty of opportunity in buying and flipping tokens. You don't actually need to yield farm. A lot of people that have, I mean, the time for that was more like 5-6 weeks ago. That was the prime time for it. Now the time's over. You can still do it. You can still get away with it. You're still going to make money, but have a look at things like Sushi. Everybody thought they were a genius. You had Sam from Alameda, absolutely wrecked, ass handed to him. You had Arthur from BitMEX, you know, aping into Sushi, you know, YFI as well. These guys were in it, and they're saying that it's going to 100,000, it's going to 250. And if you don't understand, you'll see. And then, you know, the guy that that runs BitMEX, Arthur, has you know, been wrecked on Sushi and YFI. Just like Sam from Alameda, you know, that thing was an absolute shambles. And then they basically had to come along and say, look, we're going to take over the project and help it, because they got wrecked so badly. That's what happens when you're bag holding so much. You basically take over the community. And that is like the worst thing ever for a project. As soon as that happens, I mean, you've seen it yourself, mate, like over the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. As soon as you see the community take over a project, you know it's game over. So yeah. And a lot of these new age noobs, you know, even like everybody that was, you know, balls deep in it, like shilling it hard on Twitter, they're just like, no, this is great because it's Sam from Alameda. Sam's taking over this project. It's going to be great. Sushi forever. And then, you know, all
Uniswap
the
launched their token.
Yeah. All the old guys have been around for a while, just pissing themselves laughing, like, wow, this is classic. I mean, we've seen this like literally thousands of times now, and it's all the same shit. So it doesn't matter who you are. As soon as there's a takeover like that, it's a disaster. So, you know, like I feel like there's a lot of people have lost a lot of money. A lot of people have made a lot of money, but a lot of people have lost hard, you know, yield farming. And it's just like, look, it can be more complex. If I can buy something and then I can sell it for 15, 20 times what I got it for, I'm going to take the money. You know, I'm going to cash out a bit, and I might let a little bit run. But once you've done those sort of numbers, you don't really care about too much else. You know, you've made bank, you can hold a 10, 15, maybe 20% partial position and kick back. I mean, anybody that thought they were a genius selling, you know, Wi-Fi at like, you know, 10x, it just kept going. So, you know, there's different ways to play it and reduce your risk, but I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to flog a dead horse. I'm not going to, you know, jump in and chase the Wi-Fi train. I don't really care. I mean, you can buy this shit and flip it. You don't need to add any more risk to it. And there's guys doing it successfully. That's good for them. And I respect that. It's just, I know what works for me and I'll stick to it.
In my experience, back from the Masternode era, whatever coin that died because the developer pulled the rug or something like that, and the token went to the community, there's not a single coin or project that survived the community takeover ever. So as you were mentioning, I don't think that there's a single coin from the yield farming era that will survive if it's taken over by the community.
That's it, man. I mean, look, these things can stick around for, you know, 5,
Weeks.
10 years or whatever. Yeah, they'll still be here. The coin will still be there, but does it have life? Does it have Is it in a bull market? Is it charging along and through? It's a different story. I mean, we know the tokens can last forever on the chain, but you see things that are still around, but they're, we classify them as dead. It takes a while for that to happen. But the thing is, there's just so much cool shit happening. I mean, you can't if it's just not working, you just get on to the next thing. Who cares?
Yeah.
But all these guys are, the bag holders, they focus onto that one strain of hope. Like, we're taking over now. Sushi's giving, and when we saw Sushi Dev, the Sushi Dev give the 14 mil back, I mean, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? That's not bullish at all. You can literally take that money and run, and it's better for the project. If you give it back, that's weak, and that's the ass end will fall out. You know it yourself. You see it again. As soon as the dev starts doing dumb shit, it's like the dumbest shit he does, for some reason, the more the token pumps. As soon as he's like apologizes or like goes back on whatever he's done, it dumps. It makes no fucking sense, but that's what happens.
Yo, so what do you think about the Uniswap airdrop? Do you got some universal basic income from that?
I think it's cool. It's like you're getting things like this that are doing more for the people than governments are right now. Literally free money sent to you. And look, there's there are people out there that have more than one account and had done pretty well. And that's just like that basic shit, like basic OPSEC like that. If you're running like 5 or 6 different accounts, separating it, fucking cash out, bam. But on this, at the same time, there's you're seeing a lot of these airdrops start happening now. I mean, once something gets hot and once something runs and goes hard, you see all of these copycats, all of these fucking scammers come out of the cracks. Everybody's trying to milk a dime out of nowhere. Whereas beforehand, they never gave a shit. They're basically just trying to ride the next thing. You're seeing that now with airdrops where literally every post on Twitter or like any social media is just getting smashed with people like, hit this airdrop, do this, do that. And you're going to see some big scams happen. A lot of noobs are going to lose their private keys. They're going to lose a whole lot of money because they're focusing on that, that Uniswap airdrop, and they're thinking they've got that stuff in the back of their mind. Well, this could be it. This could be the airdrop that goes
the
from
next
0 to
Uniswap.
20,000. Yeah, I can retire off this airdrop, or I can, make some real cash. And then they're going to take more risks to get in on these things. And when you're doing that, you're not thinking straight. You're just going, straight in. That's where you're super vulnerable to getting scammed. And I feel like now it's at the time that you're going to start to see that. You're going to see a lot of people getting scammed because it's everywhere.
In my case, I took my airdrop and cashed out some and bought myself a drone. And partially of that money I'm going to use for my vacay. So pretty sweet Uniswap airdrop.
Good stuff, man. And that you just going to show. I mean, a lot of guys were like trying to trade that back and forth and do all sorts of things. People went and took the money, threw it into another altcoin, got rugs, just gambled it away, and it's nothing. And yeah, you've done the right thing. You've just got like a sweet little kickback dividend. You've cashed it out, and you're sitting on it. You're just sitting on some cool shit now. No one can take that away.
Nice. Hey, bro. So what current crypto projects you got going on?
So it's been like from, I would say like 2014. So I had a lot of these ideas. Well, I get a lot of ideas, but back for like the early days of crypto, I had some really cool ideas, and I put a lot of it into documents, and I had it sitting there. Almost got to the stage where I nearly launched one of them, and I actually held back on that because I didn't feel like the crypto was big enough, it was advanced enough, it was accepted enough by mainstream. It was still like dodgy, scammy-ish sort of stuff, and people just were not receptive to it. And it just wasn't the right time. So I just put it away, threw it on ice, and I thought, I'll come back to this in a couple of years. Super patient, because I know, if you can have a good idea, or there can be something really cool, like a cool product, but if it's not the right time for it and it's not done right, it's just going to fade away, and it's just going to be an absolute disaster. So the best thing to do is just wait. And since then we've had literally, what is it? Like hundreds of, I'd say billions. Well, we've at least had like a good $500 billion of money flow through into these startups, into these ICOs, into these projects. And we have like hundreds of millions of dollars of data now of what works and what doesn't. We've got all of this different technology that's been built, across the board now. And you can literally see exactly what does and what doesn't work, and take away from that onto your own project. So now in the modern day where the world's a lot more open to crypto, it really is borderless. You're seeing a lot of hype, a lot of space, starting to fire up now. It's a really good time to launch something. And I believe you need all of the right sort of areas to hit. I feel like, you need to make it sort of crypto enough, but also mainstream enough to be able to gain traction. So that's pretty much what I'm working on now, is like folding those projects into the mothership. And that's what I'm working on. So I feel like give it maybe a month, like 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll be able to talk a bit more about it. But again,
So you're in stealth mode right now?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you say too much. You say one thing. I guarantee
Somebody's gonna steal the idea.
Guaranteed, without a doubt. And it could be like the smallest
Hint.
sort of like thing. But you have people that are so smart in this space. Yourself, you can see a good project from a mile away. It just needs to be current. It just needs to be on trend. And there you go. It doesn't matter what it is. There's going to be some attention, but you tick all the other boxes, mate, and you can do something special. So come back to this in 3 or 4 weeks.
Nice. It's all about the good timing also.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
So, Bitlord, what has changed since you begin in crypto in terms of your trading style?
So to start off, I mean, I was very aggressive, like super aggressive. I would come in and literally just start like fucking. I mean, they say ape these days. There's not even a word to justify the shit I used to do. I would just market buy, get enough of a token if it was, like a liquid, throw up a massive buy wall, get some bids under that, fucking clear the books again and again and again. You could do that for, 2 or 3 days and that was it. And some of those things, when they say, rug pulls these days, back then it took a little longer sometimes, but not everything worked out. I lost a lot of money at the start. I made a lot and I lost a lot. Now I understand it's a lot more about preserving your capital, like being a lot more patient, sitting on it. I mean, I can spend weeks, months now, not doing one trade, not buying anything, not selling anything, just sitting on what I'm doing, and it works well. So I don't margin trade like I used to. I used to be back in the day when Mex first came out, like one of the early degenerates. I'm talking like 3 or 4 day benders, just fucking mexing, man. And some of those things were just like, you had to be there. You had to be there, man. But like making that much money, making that many Bitcoins, and then losing so much, it's just like a roller coaster, And I feel like.
So you focus more nowadays in risk management?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like now I just look for something that I can really back, that I have a lot of faith in, that I can see, look, this project's going to perform over the next, 2 to 3 years. That's just sort of the way I like to look at it. So I'm looking for things that have, that have the right people in the right places, So you have people like Gavin Wood from early days of Ethereum, going over to create Polkadot Kusama. There we go. That's prime example. And then you have the right money in the right places. So, you have a lot of big investors that are looking to hold this over the next couple of years as well. They're not just looking to buy it and flip 3x. They couldn't give a shit about that. They're looking for, an Ethereum style run. The right sort of partnerships, connections. So, the Web3 Foundation, all that sort of stuff, Interledger, etc. And it has to be on trend. So something like interoperability, I could see that like 2 years out before it even became a thing. And once you find something that, ticks all that boxes, that you can believe that these guys are going to work and they're going to put their hearts and souls into it over the next couple of years, put your money in. It's that easy, because if it goes down, it's going to be a drawdown. It's going to push across sideways in accumulation, and then it's going to rip. And once the market starts doing the work for you, you're going to be sitting in there in like a multi-month, possibly a multi-year bull market, things like we saw with Ethereum. So they're the sort of things that I'm looking at now. I don't have time to sit there and go over all of these little shit coins and, make a, 30, 40, 70%, maybe a 2, 3x. if it's super obvious, I'll take it. But I'm not spending all my time drowning in the screens like I used to. I mean, I know there's money, there's a lot of money there, but I'll be honest, I feel like there's bigger and better things. Anyone can sit there and print money off this market right now. I want to create something. I want to make something. So that's why I'll put this effort, I'll put that time into this project and go from there. And I enjoy it as well. But as you know, mate, there's so much shit happening right now. If you can't put time in and make money in this market, you shouldn't be here.
So what happened to this Ripple takeover you were leading?
Well, it was a success. The whole reason behind Ripple One, I mean, look, you're going to get a lot of these Ripple tides like try to argue with me, but fact is, Ripple were dumping. The whole reason for the token is for them to sell it. They feed these pipe dreams to people that, Ripple's going to be doing this, it's going to be doing that, it's going to be like integrating the new world banking system. The token and the company is a different thing, and also the ledger. They don't actually need the token to do a lot of this stuff at all. They don't need it at all, but they're happy to feed this hopium through to these big YouTubers and media partners. I'll call them media partners because that's what they are for XRP. And then they feed it through to the retail, the mainstream, and then everybody throws in their money. It sounds like a great deal, but in actual fact, Ripple's revenue, the company's revenue, is almost entirely derived from selling the token XRP. So they don't actually make any money outside of that. It's just basically dumping a pre-mined token on the market. That's how they make their money. Now, I thought Ripple had a really good chance at becoming a hugely successful thing. It just sounds fantastic. It looks fantastic. But what actually happened is they started to distance themselves from the actual token, and they started to move away a little bit and just more focus on the company. So not really care about the token, and basically use people like me, people like you, to dump on it and then fund this company, which we don't own anything in. So they don't actually owe us anything. So the whole thing behind Ripple One forking the project and creating something else, the whole hype machine behind that was to bring attention to the fact of how much Ripple they were dumping on the market one way or the other, and to try to get them to reduce that or even just provide some clarity on that.
Yeah, similar to what the Stellar Lumens did. They burn a shitload of tokens.
Yeah, I mean they burn the tokens, but I can't comment too much on what happens with Stellar Lumen. I'm not an expert. I'm an XRP expert. I know a lot what's going on there. So they basically they had a huge media shitstorm they had to deal with. You saw it, mate. It managed to do some rounds on CNN, Forbes, a few others, mate. I don't know, but it was massive to crypto. And a lot of people were actually outraged to the fact that, yeah, you know what? This isn't right. This isn't okay. So it became a big thing for them, and they actually had to stop selling it. They reduced their selling. And Ripple One was a thing before it was actually called Ripple One. So that, some guys from XRP will say, look, they were already going to do that. No, the community was outraged months before we actually put a name to that. So that was the whole movement before it. They did stop dumping, so we didn't actually need to go ahead and fork it. Now, it seems like they're leaving us in the dust, and they have stopped dumping, but they're just not telling us what the future will be for XRP token holders. We know what the future will be for Ripple if they're successful, but not the token holders. So that's why you're starting to see a bit more Ripple shit fire up now, is because we just want answers.
Cool. I'm not a big fan of Ripple myself either.
I understand, man. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, if you're getting a token, just dumping it on everybody, using that money to fund a real life business, and then giving no answers to the people that hold the token, that's wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, I remember they used to have started to have so many partnerships, like with some banks in Japan back in 2017, when was this first time I experienced a 10x in April 1st. I remember the pump from Western Union, but they don't do that anymore. Like, I guess they put back a bit of their escrow releases in the past few months.
Well, you see a lot of new announcements and partnerships and this and that. Great news coming out for Ripple. But you see the token actually does nothing And it's surprising. It's like some of these partnerships, really big banks, really big partnerships, huge partnerships. But the token does nothing. If anything, it dumps. What's actually happening is that Ripple, the company, it's good for them, but it doesn't mean shit for the token holders. That's why this news has no effect anymore. And people have started to figure that out.
That at the end of the day, for them, if the token doesn't appraise in value, that's not going to add much to their corporate modus operandi. Like, they're going to get a shitload of detractors in social media if their coin doesn't recuperate from the multi-year bear market.
Yeah, well, Ripple can increase, but it just means they can sell it for more money, because, as you know, you don't actually need the token to serve these banks, to serve these partnerships.
Use their systems.
You can just use their, as they call it, their software, their ledger. The ledger and the token is actually a different thing. You can use the ledger without actually using the token. So, and if you do need the token, you need scraps of it. The banks don't actually need to hold it. No one needs to hold it.
Almost a month until U.S. elections. Who do you think is going to win?
Trump has his hands down. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can see yourself. I mean, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Biden was the candidate, or whatever the case. But you know, a couple months ago, it wasn't there. It was basically who's gonna challenge him, who's gonna challenge him, and then they pull that out of thin air. You know, this guy is a complete degenerate. He's not. He has no chance of winning. He's just there to show that we have some sort of contender. It's just it's really a show. But look, Trump is going to take this. A lot of people are going to be outraged, but even more are going to be glad, because he's doing some great things for America. He's, you know, recently, one of the things I saw that I really appreciated, you know, you're seeing all that really silly corporate training about just basically trying to divide, you know, when it comes to, like, you know, gender, race, all this sort of stuff. And it was absurd. He basically removed that. He banned that. He said he can't do that in companies and stuff anymore, which I thought was a great thing, because that's all it does. It just divides people. And you see that's what the media does. Their whole job is to just divide people, stroke that anger, get them wild, get them doing dumb shit. And, you know, Trump really is, you know, he's fighting uphill with that stuff. I mean, you know, they're literally just pull shit out of their asses, mate. You've seen it. You see it every single day. The media says something else. It's just so freaking outlandish. You can't even believe it. So, you know, I do think that there's a lot of people that are fed up with that. You know, they're fed up with all that sort of stuff. And, you know, that's why I think that they stand for that. You know, they stand for him.
Jumping on the COVID subject, Bitlord, how's the lockdown going on in Australia? I've seen a few social media posts about old ladies being dragged out of the parks for not wearing a mask. How's that going over there?
Yeah, look, that's all true. There's that happening, and there's worse. There's more. They're trying to push through laws now that if you say anything that they don't agree with, or any information or facts that challenge their agenda of the virus, that they can detain you, that they can put you in a quarantine camp for fear that you may you may not isolate or whatever if you do get it or something like that. They just make this shit up as they go. They're just looking to obviously expand their powers. It's not just coronavirus that this, you know, can serve that agenda. But I mean, look, at the same time, these people that are getting these things done to them, you know, when you're seeing, you know, an old lady get arrested or this or that, they know what they're doing. They're there at that time when the police are, when they know they're not supposed to be. They're challenging that. And the police have a job, is move these people on. It doesn't matter if you're an old nana or, like, 25-year-old, anarchist. They're going to kick your ass out of there. So in one sense, it's not going to soften me just because I hear some old lady's been arrested. We know that they're in the spot that they're not supposed to be. My issue is the fact that the way that they're doing this stuff, the way they're looking to, expand these laws, expand these powers, when they're telling you, look, you have to wear a mask, you have to stand apart, all this sort of shit. It's fucking ridiculous, mate. This whole mask stuff is beyond absurd. Some people are saying experts, are saying, no, you don't need one. It won't do anything. And then others are saying, oh, you do. It's just, look, I don't want to wear a mask. I'm not going to fucking wear a mask. I don't want an injection. I don't want a fucking an antivirus, a vaccine. I don't want that shit in me. The flu, you can't even cure that. You're not going to cure this virus after you've been studying it for like 7 months. There's no fucking way on earth. So, you know, this whole thing, it's just turned into one giant scam, mate. One giant scam. And you look at the stats, you know, like 99.98 or whatever the fuck percent that you'll survive it between this number and that number. I mean, come on. Did
you finally get COVID in China when you were over there? By the way, what the fuck were you doing in China in February?
Man, I was there January. Like started January, sort of when it first broke out. And
no, yeah,
I was
you totally broke the news to like everybody in crypto. Everybody in crypto knew that shit was serious because of you. I was totally like, this shit is a scam. Like it's not gonna come over here. And you all of a sudden see crypto Bitlord fucking posting mucus on his feed about getting locked down, trying to get the fuck out of China.
Yeah, well, the thing is, man, I mean, back then we didn't know about the virus. We didn't know just anything about it. We thought it was so fucking deadly. And China did an amazing job of making it look like this super killer virus that if you get it, you're going to die. Or the chances of you surviving are very slim. So stay indoors, lock yourselves up, disinfect everything, you will die. But now we see that's not the case. It's not the case. We have the statistics. And the thing is, let's talk about coronavirus statistics. You can literally make that shit. You can make that shit up anyhow you like it. You can make it up anyhow you like it. You can, I mean, the way that they report the deaths, the way they do the testing. So all of a sudden you're going to test a million people, X% are going to show positive. If you don't test, no people are positive or whatever. You can just fudge these numbers any way you like. The data is essentially useless. The only thing that we need to know is how deadly is it? Sure, it's infectious, just like a common cold. The chances if you get it, obviously when you're older, you're more susceptible to these things, just like a common cold or a common flu. But your chances of getting it, if you're between like, what is it, like 20 and 28 or 30 or whatever, the chances of you dying close to zero. That's what this looks like. So for us to continue these lockdowns and continue this radical approach, it's not exactly to do with a virus anymore. It's economical, it's social. It's got nothing to do with a virus.
It's more detrimental to society than the flu itself.
Yes.
Do you think it's gonna have a detrimental impact on the legacy markets and in crypto in the short term?
It has.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of it has been disguised and we've had the governments being able to manipulate those figures, manipulate those stats. I mean, have a look at the unemployment rate in Australia. The government's directly employing a lot of people through their coronavirus supplements payments. You get money for all sorts of things now. So if we didn't have that, unemployment would be through the roof. But now all of these companies, all of these businesses are paid and people are paid to be able to keep people on. It looks like we don't really have any unemployment. It's not that bad. But if these payments stop, it is catastrophic. And that's pretty much like everywhere else in the world. You see a lot of developing countries that, don't have these sort of funds and, this sort of money flow coming through. Things are a lot different there. But, in these more sort of established countries, you can see it yourself. You see that people aren't there spending and going crazy and doing all sorts of things. Consumers aren't, dropping cash left, right, and center. But still, we have, the housing market's relatively untouched here. If anything, it's been steady. And they're trying to show it. They're trying to what they do. They put it through the papers. They put it through the media everywhere. They say that rentals are going crazy. You can't get a rental. The rental market's exploding right now. And they just say it. And then all of a sudden, all the landlords start trying to put their prices up for fucking what? Because they've seen it on the TV. There's no crazy demand. It's basically manufactured. So now the economy, now everything, it's just a circus. It's not real. It is not real. They can print any amount of money. They can do any sort of supplement. They can do whatever they want. It's not real anymore. So I don't even care what legacy markets do. Send them to zero. As long as crypto continues on, mate. I mean, that's cool. But I feel this shit is just like it's too much of a sham now. You know, I just can't.
And wrapping it up to the last question, what would be your number one recommendation for people recently joining crypto?
Put in as much time as you can. Really study not just the markets. Anyone can be an expert at TA. I can teach you how to do TA like an expert in 24 hours. It's really straightforward. You just need to be able to draw lines, straight lines. You want to get more technical? Yeah, you can throw indicators, fibs, all that sort of stuff. But really, you should be able to learn that shit in 24 hours. The next thing is really understanding the whole ecosystem, everything as a whole, how everything interconnects, everything is linked. Really work on sentiment. Sentiment is one of the big things that I use for trading. Like it's if you understand the sentiment and if you can read that well and see what it means, you're light years ahead of everybody else. So put the time in, and you got to understand if everybody's doing it, it's not exactly the right thing to be doing. You need to be somewhere else. So, you know, when everybody's have a look at classic example, Uni or Sushi, YFI, everybody's going crazy. This is going to 100,000. This is going to the moon. Everybody's just completely for it, just absolutely loving it. And that's the time you saw a lot of smart guys come out and say, you know, where can I short this? Or, you know, like, I would not be touching this right now. Really back away, you know, take it out. And then still, you know, guys are just like completely blinded, like, let's go. And then bam, that was the top right there and then. So, you know, you just understand the different emotions and what they mean to the market. That is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than understanding TA. And if you put the time in, I believe that you can do anything. You can come in this space with no money. Your pocket's empty. If you put the time in, you're getting handouts, you're getting free money, you're getting bounties, you're getting an opportunity to make it. So if you honestly try to tell me that you can't make money in this space or in this market, get the fuck out. Go home, stay home, log off. Don't even connect to the internet because it's not true.
And with that, we end our episode. I'm very happy to have Bitlord on Point Blank. Thanks for coming on, man. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, you find me hanging out on Twitter, crypto_Bitlord. I'm about to fire up YouTube. I keep most of my Discords and Telegrams private, but you find the same handle as Instagram as well.
Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.